Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 7 of the Echols Unlimited podcast. I'm your host, Terrence Echols, and today we're just going to get into it. We're going to talk about NBA free agency. We are a few hours away from the start of free agency. It is 2:41 p.m. and free agency starts at about 6 p.m. tonight. So it is Sunday, June 30th. So we are going to find out. A lot of our questions are going to be answered in just a few hours. So until then, I just want to talk about a lot of the free agents who are on the market, the teams who have an opportunity to sign these free agents, and what type of fit each player would have. So I have a list of about 20 players. I'm looking at this list from NBC Sports Boston. They gave out a list of about the top 25 or top 30 NBA free agents for this offseason. And most of them are or some of them are restricted free agents, so it's kind of difficult to gauge whether or not that player will be able to switch teams, but it gives us a good idea of what players are available out on the open market and what they can do in terms of signing them. So I'm just going to go from best player to worst player on this list. But first, let me just give a list of teams who have space to sign a max free agent, because a lot of these guys are max guys. And those teams are the Brooklyn Nets, the New York Knicks, the Sacramento Kings, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Los Angeles Clippers, Dallas Mavericks, Indiana Pacers, Boston Celtics, New Orleans Pelicans, Los Angeles Lakers, and the Phoenix Suns. This list is thanks to SpotTrack.com. They gave out all of the teams and the amount of money each team has in terms of cap room going into this free agency period. So I'm now just going to get into the players. We're going to start with Kevin Durant. I would have loved him to team up with LeBron James. I thought that would have been insane. But the fact that LeBron has Anthony Davis now, it really wouldn't be fair. I don't think that is a good idea for Kevin Durant to want to go to the Lakers and join with Kevin Durant or LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I feel like that'll just be overload, team overload. So cut the Lakers off of his list. I really would just like to see him anywhere but Golden State. We've seen the past few years Golden State has ruled the NBA. I think they've lost a total of 3 or 4 playoff games with Kevin Durant on their team. And that's just I don't find it fun to watch. I just think it's overpowering. And I just don't like the fact that he would want to stay because of what he went through going there, and how his team had lost to them, and how they were the team that had won 73 games and broken the record. I just don't think that's ethical for him to stay. Or not ethical, but I don't think it's the right decision, if that makes any sense. I just don't find that to be the right decision. It may be his best option in terms of depending on what he wants to do. And if that's making money and winning games, then yeah, sign the 5-year max with Golden State. But if he has other intentions, if he has legacy intentions, then I would steer him to maybe sign with the Los Angeles Clippers or the New York Knicks. But either one of those options would be cool, but pretty much go anywhere but Golden State, in my opinion, Kevin Durant. The next one on the list is Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi, unlike Kevin Durant, they're both top 3 players in my opinion. Them along with LeBron James. I don't care how you seed them, 1, 2, 3. Kawhi has an interesting situation because he's coming off of a championship. KD had won the prior 2 championships to this year when Kawhi won. But the fact that Kawhi is coming off of a championship and the team has pretty much done everything that they can to hold on to him makes me optimistic to the fact that Kawhi Leonard will probably stay in Toronto, which I have no problem with. I just want him to make the best decision for him, and I want the Raptors to make the best decision for them. I want any other team that wants to sign him to make a great decision. But I would like to see him either go to Toronto or to the LA Clippers, or possibly even the New York Knicks, whatever team Kevin Durant doesn't go to. Because I just don't want to see the overhaul. There have been rumors that Kawhi will join the Lakers. I just don't like that idea. I like the idea of Kawhi and LeBron James. I just don't like the idea of Kawhi, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. I think that's just overpowering, stacking the deck. I'm just not a huge fan of that in terms of teams loading with talent. Not even the Philadelphia 76ers. If he goes there, that's my team. I don't really want to see them add more talent than what they've already had this year. I feel like the talent that they had this year is enough to win them an NBA championship. You just have to get in the right situation. You have to develop team chemistry, and everyone needs to be playing at their best. You need to have good coaching, good game plans, and everything. And you just need to get a little lucky, as we saw in the Raptors and Sixers series with Kawhi's buzzer beater in Game 7. So I would like to see Kawhi either go to the Knicks, Clippers, Nets, or Raptors, depending on where other players fall and depending on what his preferences. So, and the next one is Kyrie Irving. And I think he should consider Brooklyn, the New York Knicks, the Lakers, and possibly even the Phoenix Suns. So, people have been talking about Kyrie Irving going to the Brooklyn Nets for about a week now. I wrote down my ideas before the news came out that he was probably going to sign with the Brooklyn Nets. I just don't think he should stay in Boston. I'm not a huge Celtics fan. I just don't like the fit with him with the Celtics. I just think that's too dysfunctional for him to stay in that culture and that place. So I hope he moves. So the next one is Kemba Walker. And talking about Kyrie Irving, people have been talking about Kemba Walker just taking Kyrie Irving's spot, and I don't think that's a good idea either. I don't like the fact that Kemba Walker would go to an organization like Boston, who hasn't done a great job of taking care of their star players. A guy like Gordon Hayward and a guy like Kyrie Irving, they sort of let those guys get portrayed in the media as guys who have underperformed and guys who maybe have been distant at times in Kyrie's case, but especially in Gordon Hayward's case, they let him just fall right under the bus in terms of how he played this season. He's coming off a catastrophic injury, and I felt like he needed more support from the Boston Celtics. I thought that Kyrie Irving needed more support from the Boston Celtics, and he didn't receive that, and that's why he's leaving. I thought that Isaiah Thomas deserved better from the Boston Celtics, and I just don't think that they take care of their star players the way that they should. Sending Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce off the way they did and just trading them back in 2013, even though they got a load of assets back from the Brooklyn Nets, maybe some teams just need to be loyal to their players, loyal to their stars, and they just need to treat them better. I just don't think Boston does that. I think that the fan base is good, like the fans are passionate and everything, and they obviously understand like why the GM and the Danny Ainge and other people make decisions, but I just don't like the fact that the Boston Celtics have gotten away with just not mistreating, but sort of misusing their star players and their veterans and their leaders, if you want to go that far and say that. I just don't like the idea that Kemba Walker going to Boston and just filling the same role that Kyrie Irving filled. And especially without a guy like Al Horford, who is a great defender, who can knock down an open shot, who can play in the post, he can play the pick and roll. And since he's leaving, I don't think that Kemba Walker is a good fit for the Celtics. I think they need to get more young assets, like they need a young guard and a young big man. And they grabbed a couple guys like that in the draft. They grabbed Carson Edwards. They grabbed Tremont Waters. I think they should look to develop those guys and maybe even sign like a younger guy. I mean, maybe even D'Angelo Russell wouldn't be a bad idea, because he's young and he's developing just like Jason Tatum, just like Jaylen Brown. Kemba Walker is a finished product. He's in his prime. So he's not going to get much better than he already is. And this season he scored 60 points in a game. He was an All-NBA performer. He was an All-Star. So there's going to be huge expectations coming in, and that didn't serve well for them last year, and I don't think that's going to serve well for them in the future. So Klay Thompson, obviously, if the Warriors offer him, I believe he should stay. I don't see him fitting in any other place better than the Warriors and maybe the Lakers, but I just don't see him going anywhere else but the Lakers. If he even leaves Golden State, I don't think he should. I like the fact that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are both drafted by the Warriors. They've won championships with the Warriors. They've had individual accomplishment with the Warriors, so I just want to see them serve their entire careers in Golden State. But I think Klay should make the best decision for him. There have been rumors about him wanting to follow in the footsteps of his father and play for the Lakers, so I don't find that to be a bad idea. I think he fits well with LeBron and Anthony Davis, but I guess we'll find out what Klay has to say. There's been rumors that he's going to come back to Golden State and play for them next year, so I'm glad for Klay. I'm happy for him. The next player on our list is Jimmy Butler. So, with me being a Sixers fan, I obviously want Jimmy Butler to come back, but I can see him going to New York or LA, any of those 4 teams in the New York and LA areas, but there's been rumors that he wants to go to either Miami or Houston. And I don't really like the fit in either one of those. Maybe the quality of life, the no state income tax in Florida or Texas, so maybe it's a little bit nicer to, if he gets paid, he gets to keep more of that money. But I don't see him fitting in basketball-wise in either one of those places. I feel like if he went to Miami, he'd just be leading a team that's going to be at the bottom of the barrel, an 8 seed in the Eastern Conference, verge of that team, and that's in no man's land, where they're good enough to make the playoffs just barely, but they're not good enough to make any noise, or they're not good enough to make the playoffs and not bad enough to get a good draft pick. So I just don't find that to be a good situation for him. And in Houston, I just don't think he fits well with James Harden and Chris Paul. So I want Jimmy to make the best decision for him. I want him to be happy, but I feel like the best decision for him basketball-wise is to just stay in Philadelphia. And like many Philadelphia fans have been saying for a few months now, is just run it back. Because the fact that Philly lost to the eventual champions on a buzzer beater Game 7, where Kawhi Leonard had to travel twice on an inbounds play and take a fadeaway 2-point jump shot from the corner that bounced around the rim 4 times and went in. I think a bunch of fans in Philly are saying, different circumstances, there would be different results. They think that Philly could have had a chance where now it's a 2-man race in the Eastern Conference with Boston losing Kyrie Irving, and if Kawhi leaves Toronto, where it's just them and the Bucks. And I don't like those. I like that matchup. I think that Philly and Milwaukee match up well. I feel like that'll be an exciting series, and I feel like that would be favorable in terms of me being a Philly fan. I think that would be a great opportunity for the Sixers to finally make it back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2001, where they were led by Allen Iverson. So I think, Jimmy Butler, please stay in Philly. Please listen to me. I don't know if you're probably never going to hear this before you make that decision, because you're making that decision later today, but I guess we'll find out. The next player I have is DeMarcus Cousins, and the first thing I want to say is he will be a lot better next season. He was coming off of an Achilles injury, and then he ruptured his quad, and he was still able to give good minutes in the finals for the Golden State Warriors. So I expect DeMarcus Cousins to make a full recovery. I expect him to be effective for whatever team he signs with. I think he should probably go to the Boston Celtics. I don't think he should take another pay cut and go somewhere for a year. I think he should get the money he deserves, and maybe go to Boston. There's a couple of places available, like Dallas, that has the money to pay him. I don't like him staying in Golden State. I don't like him going somewhere and taking a pay cut. So wherever he can go and get paid, he should go and get paid. So shout out to DeMarcus Cousins. Tobias Harris, another guy who I think should stay in Philly. like many Philly fans have been saying for months now. Just please run it back. I think he fits better than Jimmy Butler in Philly with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons because he's a better shooter, a better off-the-ball player. I just think he needs to improve his defense and his playmaking abilities. Like maybe take more of an initiative to pass out of situations and to find the open man. Getting driving kick scenarios, even though there's no one really to kick to right now in Philly. So I just think there's a few things he can improve on, and he's only 26, so he's going to continue to improve, continue to get better. I think he's already a great player, and I would love to see him back in a Philadelphia 76ers uniform. Kristaps Porzingis, he got traded at the deadline this year. He didn't play. He had a torn ACL, so I think he's just going to go back to Dallas and play with them after learning from Dirk this year, and Dirk taking him under his wing and practicing with them. And I think he forms a great duo with Luka Doncic, and I'm excited to see him play again. So D'Angelo Russell, he's a restricted free agent, but with Kyrie Irving expected to go to Brooklyn, I don't see them offering him what he's going to get offered other places. So I think they're just going to make him unrestricted and let him go wherever he wants to go. I think he'd be a great fit in Phoenix, if not LA or possibly even Boston. But I don't think I don't think that he's going to be back in the Eastern Conference is what it looks like. I think Phoenix, Clippers, Lakers, or even Minnesota Timberwolves, I heard he's meeting with, are a good opportunity for him. I want him to continue to ascend, to continue to get better. I want him to be the best player he can be, and with all he's been through in the NBA, I think he can continue to grow, and I just wish him the best. Nikola Vucevic, there's already been reports that he's going to sign with Orlando. He should stay in Orlando, but if not, he should go to Boston and finally contend for a championship. Chris Middleton should definitely stay in Milwaukee. People have been saying they're looking to keep him in Milwaukee. Al Horford is an interesting situation. He declined a $30 million contract because he wants to do 4 years somewhere else. I can't see him going to any of like the big places like that people have been talking about, like the Knicks, Nets, Clippers, or Lakers, but I can definitely see him fitting in a place like Dallas or even with the New Orleans Pelicans. I think he fits well with both of those teams. I just saw that he followed Drew Holiday and Zion Williamson on Instagram, so I don't know if that means anything, but I think Al Horford would fit well anywhere. He's such a great player. He's such a dynamic offensive and defensive talent, so I think any team would be lucky to have him. Malcolm Brogdon, I love his two-way skills. He's a second rounder, which is why he's a restricted free agent so early in his career. He's a perfect example of why teams should value guys with age and experience coming into the draft. Because you take a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, he came in and he contributed to the Milwaukee Bucks, a playoff team with an ascending superstar, the best player in the NBA who just won MVP, by the way, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who just won the NBA MVP for this season. I think he's a great player. I think he can be an effective player for any team in the NBA. He's one of those guys you can put him on any roster in the NBA and they automatically get better. I think he should go to the Lakers. I think the Lakers should pay him whatever he wants to get paid, whether that's $21 million, whether it's $25 million. Just pay him that amount of money. Go out and sign another guard, maybe a Patrick Beverley, and then you have your backcourt for whatever championship roster you want to put together. And I think that Malcolm Brogdon is the key to help any team contend. He's a key player that any team needs. I think he should get paid because the team slept on him and they didn't draft him in the first round, even though he turned out to be a top 5 player in that draft class. It just goes to show you that sometimes teams need to take a chance on a guy who spent 3-4 years in college. You know, those guys are the most polished. Those guys probably have the best body types, and those guys probably are better shooters because they've spent more time in gyms and working on their shot than guys who are coming out of 1 year of college or just coming out of high school where they may have not had to rely as much on their jump shot as they've had, or they may have not had the time to really work on their jump shot. And I think that Malcolm Brogdon is a great example. He was a 50, 40, 90 guy this year, so I just don't see why Malcolm Brogdon doesn't deserve a top-level salary. Brook Lopez, I think it would be great if he went back to LA, space the floor with Anthony Davis with the pick and roll with that rise and roll and rise action where Anthony Davis rolling to the basket and Brook Lopez coming out and popping for a three, and LeBron James making that decision as to who's more open and who can get a better shot off. I think he'd be great. But if not, he should stay put, and I think a motivated Giannis will help them compete more than they did in the last 3 games of the Eastern Conference Finals. If I'm the Bucks, I want to run that back too. They didn't compete well in those last 3 games, and that really showed, and they ended up losing to eventual NBA champions. So you never know what can happen next year with Milwaukee. They're an exciting team, so I'm hoping for the best. So just a few more players left. I have Marc Gasol. He has a player option. I think he should stay. He was a huge player for the Toronto Raptors in their championship run. I don't think he fits in anywhere better than he does in Toronto, so I think he's great. He should stay. Terry Rozier, I think he should go anywhere. He was a restricted free agent. I think Boston's going to renounce his rights after they sign Kemba Walker, if they end up signing Kemba Walker. But if not, he should probably either stay in Boston and be their point guard for the future. I think he's a great fit with those guys. He already knows how to win with those guys. And I think that they're better than people think when they all play together. So I believe that Terry Rozier should either stay or he should go to a place where that's going to want him and treat him well. And I think that Phoenix is a good spot for him. I think that the Lakers are a good spot for him. They can sign him and someone else. But I think he deserves a great opportunity. He's a hardworking player. He's a great player, and he deserves anything that comes to him. JJ Redick, hopefully he stays in Philly, but if not, he should go to the Lakers, Mavericks, or the Pelicans. I think those are other suitors for him. As a shooter, there's so many fits, like so many places where he can fit in and play well and be such a key contributor on a solid playoff team. And the last player I'm going to get into is Derrick Rose. I think it was great for him to have a comeback season last year where he averaged 18 points and 4 assists. He's good if you want depth at that guard position. There's been rumors that he wants to go to the Detroit Pistons. I think he fits well in either Phoenix, Minnesota, Utah, or the Los Angeles Lakers. All those teams need depth at the guard position. I think he would be a great contributor off the bench in Utah behind Mike Conley. Get some buckets for you. He got traded there during the season last season when Cleveland was making all those trades at the deadline to reassemble their roster with younger guys around LeBron James because that experiment of having all those old guys wasn't working out. He got traded to Utah. Utah didn't want him, so he went to Minnesota. Had a comeback season in Minnesota, scored 50 points in a game once. So I hope he gets paid. I hope that he gets taken care of because I know he has a lot more basketball ahead of him, and I wish him nothing but the best. So this was my NBA free agency predictions and just thoughts about each player and the different teams that they could go to. I think that a lot of these players should make decisions based on where they'll be the happiest and where they'll be in the best position to win. I don't think that many other factors should matter other than happiness and winning. I don't think that money is such a huge deal as it was before because players have endorsements, they have shoe deals, they have this, they have that, they have pretty much every opportunity. And I think that if a player is smart with his money and takes care of himself, he should be able to take care of him, not only himself and his family, but the future generations of his family just off of a couple NBA contracts. So I hope all these guys get the money that they deserve, and I hope that they all go to the situations that they deserve. And I can't wait to see what happens when NBA free agency, and I can't wait to get back on here. I'm probably going to give my thoughts on how free agency went in my next episode, so look forward to that. I thank you for listening, and see ya.